Welcome to the Explainer. Look, today I'm putting on my executive coach hat because we really need to have a completely unfiltered conversation about your career trajectory. If you're an ambitious mid-level manager and you're eyeing that jump into senior leadership, I've got to hit you with a hard truth. The strategies that got you to where you are right now, they are absolutely not going to get you to the next level. So let's dive right in and unpack the fundamental shift you literally have to make to take back control of your career narrative.
You were never waiting. You were being written. Wow, just let that sink in for a second. It's kind of heavy, right? The reality is, at the senior levels of any organization, the interpretation of your work moves way, way faster than your actual day-to-day performance. You might be sitting there thinking you're just patiently waiting for your hard work to speak for itself. But in reality, a narrative about exactly who you are and what you're capable of is already being written by the system around you. Which brings us to a crucial question. Where are you drifting? You see, decisions about your trajectory, like your next big promotion, they aren't happening out in broad daylight. They're happening in really compressed, fast-paced conversations behind closed doors. And almost always, you're not in the room. Your name comes up and someone simply asks, "Is she ready?" In that tiny, fleeting window of time, clarity about your value either exists or it doesn't. Let's look at Section 1, the invisible career mechanics. So, whether you realize it or not, there's a hidden operating system above you. It's constantly watching, translating, and aggressively shrinking down all your complex, stressful daily work into a super simple, digestible story. When that brief promotional window actually opens up, they aren't looking at a detailed log of your effort. No, they're looking at the signal you've been broadcasting. This creates a massive contrast in mindsets. Most managers naturally ask, "Am I performing well?" They're hyper-focused on their output. But a leader who is actively authoring their career, they ask a totally different, much more powerful question. Where am I leaving interpretation to chance? These invisible mechanics of advancement, they're ruthless. Stalled careers usually aren't about weak performance at all. They're about an accumulation of ambiguity that just quietly compounds over time.
Moving right along to Section 2, escaping the career drift.
When you leave how your work is interpreted up to chance, your positioning in the eyes of leadership gets fuzzy. And let me tell you, from years of coaching, fuzziness rarely gets promoted. Instead, you get categorized. You get pegged as, the reliable executor or the technical specialist. And over time, that label hardens like concrete. Repositioning yourself for a strategic role becomes incredibly difficult. That right there is drift. It's the slow erosion of your trajectory. And the scary part is, to you, it probably just feels like you're being patient. Authorship, on the flip side, is the discipline of actively managing your interpretation at every single layer of the business. And hey, please don't misinterpret this. Strategic authorship is not about being loud or obnoxious or performative. It's simply about being incredibly deliberate in how your value is understood.
Which brings us to Section 3, the 3 layers of clarity. Okay, when someone asks if you're ready for the next level, your advancement depends entirely on engineering clarity across 3 very specific dimensions. If even one of these is off, your positioning takes a hit. We're looking at, number 1, the scorecard, what the organization actually values at the next level. Number 2, judgment, how you think. And number 3, signal, how your impact is described by others. As your coach today, I want you to do a ruthless mental audit of yourself on each of these 3 layers right now. Let's break them down. First up, the scorecard audit. Ask yourself, do I truly know what's actually evaluated at the next level? Or am I honestly just guessing? Most mid-level leaders falsely assume the next level's scorecard is just their current job, but, with more responsibility. It is never that simple. The real scorecard is almost always buried under surface metrics and unspoken expectations. Next, the judgment audit. Ask yourself, am I showing how I think or only what I deliver? At the senior level, decision makers don't just want you to hand them a polished final product. They need to see the actual architecture of your judgment. They need to watch how you process tension, how you weigh different options, and exactly what principles guide your final choices. Finally, the signal audit. Ask yourself, can others clearly describe my strategic value, or would they stumble and hesitate? You've got to be incredibly honest with yourself on this one. If your answer to any of these 3 audit questions feels even a little uncertain, your clarity is weak. And where clarity is weak, your authorship is weak. And when your authorship is weak, that is exactly when that dangerous career drift sets in. All right, Section 4, your 30-day authorship reset. So, how do we actually fix this? How do we hit the brakes on the drift? It is time to stop waiting and start engineering your trajectory. I'm going to give you a concrete time-bound 3-step playbook to take back your career narrative this month. Over the next 30 days, you need to operate deliberately across all 3 of those clarity layers. Here's the plan. Step 1, clarify readiness. Step 2, signal your thinking in 3 high-stakes meetings. And Step 3, translate your initiatives. These aren't just random tasks, it's an entire operating system designed to align your visible, everyday work with the hidden scorecard of senior leadership. Let's look at how to pull this off.
For step 1, you've got to stop guessing. Go directly to your mentors, your boss, or your sponsors and ask them this exact question. What differentiates readiness at that level? This is a highly specific, targeted question that cuts right through the fluff. It forces them to reveal the real, unspoken expectations. Once you have that golden piece of info, you can align your most visible work directly to that hidden scorecard.
Now for step 2, pick 3 upcoming high-stakes meetings and use them to make your judgment fully visible. You do this by narrating your choices using a very specific structure. First, explicitly identify the tension. Then outline the available options. Next, state the core principle guiding your decision. And finally, note exactly what you'll be watching for moving forward. Don't just serve up the final answer. Let the people in that room actually witness the pure deliberateness behind your strategic moves.
For step 3, take one major initiative you're driving right now and translate it into what we call enterprise language, so the story travels upward perfectly. Use this formula. By taking this action, we achieved this result, which positioned us to reach this strategic outcome. See what that does? It transforms a boring standard project update into a crystal clear, undeniable signal of strategic value that executives actually care about.
But here is the absolute catch with that enterprise language. You have a strict 90-second constraint. If your manager cannot easily turn around and repeat that strategic sentence about your initiative to someone else in 90 seconds or less, it is too complicated. Period. The signal is weak and it's going to get distorted. You have to relentlessly refine and tighten that message until it is completely distortion-proof.
As we bring all of this together, I want you to remember this one fundamental truth. Performance gets you in the room, but authorship determines what happens next. You can't just keep your head down and work harder or randomly get louder. If you are an ambitious manager just waiting for your excellent work to speak for itself, I need you to remember that the system is already deciding who you are, based entirely on the signals you are or aren't sending.
Which leaves us with this final, vital thought to chew on. Like we established right at the start, you were never waiting. You're already being written by the system. The only question is, are you holding the pen? I want you to think really deeply about that as you walk into your next meeting. Go take back your narrative. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.